Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. I have a little bit of a fun fold here using the Memorable Blooms bundle. You'll find this in the online exclusives. It has these beautiful floral prints here, some great sentiments with 2 fonts in each one, so it really gives a neat effect on that. And it has these great Memorable Blooms dies, and I'm going to show you which ones cut out, and then all of these floral images are cut out as well with this nice leaf solid die there. Okay, so we are going to take a look at this card a little bit closer. I wanted a card that would show all the different ways you could use these dies. Okay, so here we go. Now, when I made this card, I put the DSP on the card base, which is a 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, so it fits in an A2 size card. And I wanted to just die cut and get this piece that came out of the DSP. So I actually adhered it nicely, cut it out, then popped it out. Now I did put the adhesive only on the corners and a little on the sides because I knew I wanted to use this piece on the inside. But on this card, I want to use the floral pattern because it really looks nice. So what we're going to do though is just put some temporary adhesive on because I want the really pretty, here, let me show you here with these 2 dies. I want this really pretty detail. If you can see that on the card here, there's a little stitch detail. I want it to show on the side that is showing. So I'm going to put some temporary adhesive on here. Oh no, I'm going to do it. Yes, that's the way I want to do it. Okay, just some temporary adhesive there. Because when I do it this way, no, wait a second, how am I want it to be there. And then I'll have the stitch. Yeah, because, okay, yeah, just stick with me here. Because the one thing I was thinking is when I go to cut this out, I'm going to have this nice stitching here, but I'm going to have the stitching and I'm flipping it over. But when I'm flipping it over, I'm actually covering it with another piece that I'm cut out. So just stick with me and you'll understand. Okay, when you are going to do a card like this, you want to be careful about scratching up the inside of your card. So I'm going to, where did I put, here it is. I'm going to put my little bit of, so we have the card and the DSP in place, but it's not adhered totally down. It's only temporary. So I'm putting that centered. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this in to keep it in place. Use a nice clean acrylic plate when you roll it through, or use the Sizzix chrome plate or our old precision plate that kind of looks like this slate color. So I'm still using that, still using it. So I'm going to run this through. I have that run through there. I'm just going to, I'll let you take a look at how pretty that is. And I'm just going to run this through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay. Here we go. And some muscles here, because when you're using that precision plate, it just seems like you can be a little tighter. So now, when I bring this over, you're going to notice this isn't scratched up from the etching, and it has this pretty detail there. But I'm going to pull this out, and now I have this lovely detail here, because I want to put this back. Now I can adhere this, but when I take this off, okay, let's see that tape here. There, we're going to have that pretty stitching there. But you can tell this is the nice stitching, this is the negative, but we're going to be covering that up. And then we still have that nice stitching here that's going to go on the inside of the card. So we've got all these fun pieces. Now, well, technically, I guess we could have just adhered it the whole way. Yeah, you actually can adhere it. You don't have to worry about, getting marks on it. You can go ahead and adhere that down. So let's do that now. I was thinking the other way, but we are covering it, so you don't have to be extra careful with that, because you don't mind that the that etching. Okay, so definitely would be easier to just adhere it the whole way down, because then you don't have to come back and match it. Oh, I'm totally off screen. You don't have to come back and match it up like I am now, which is a little more difficult. So it would have actually been better to, okay, it would have been actually better to adhere it down. Okay, well, you learned something there. We're not too far into it, but I want to get it straight on this edge here. So I'm going to get it nice and straight on that opening. Yeah, definitely don't put it, but sometimes you will have to do that if you want the stitching to go a certain way. Now my hands aren't working right, and I'm not looking directly. What if I just put it, stretch it there? I mostly want to make sure I have that nice edge. There, thank you. Thank you, Jesus. I appreciate your help there. Okay, so now we have that fun, beautiful print of the flowers there. So the next step is going to be using this piece, which is going to come in here and give a nice contrast, and it's going to go on the inside. So when we do that, we're first going to, I'm going to show you how we make this piece. So to make this piece, haha, I am being very, very judicious with my paper. You have a piece that comes in here and it opens up to create that opening there. So you are going to cut a piece of paper that is 5 1/4 tall, just like putting your border, so you have that 1/8 inch border, but it's only going to be 8. And you're going to score it at 4. And then that's the closing mechanism. So what I did here, because I knew I was going to be popping this into here, I wanted this pretty detail here. So I just put this in here like this, and I ran it through. I didn't have to worry about getting scratchy edges here because you won't see that. So just open your card kind of the opposite way that you would open it and run it through, and then you've got that inside. Okay, and then when you put it in, you're going to put down this piece, because this is going to close, and I put a sentiment here. So then we're just going to adhere this down. Get a little adhesive on there. You don't have to worry about lumps and bumps on this one, so you might want to get a little bit of glue as well. Looks like my glue doesn't want to work this morning. Probably is the one that's not. Here's the one that has some glue in it. So put a little glue here, a little glue there, so it's glued down. And once again, you're doing that. Remember, we had it folded this way so that it opens this way. So make sure your fold is on the right side. And this piece was 8 by 5 1/4, and I scored at 4 on the 8 inch side. Then this is going to go right on the inside of your card like this. And just get that nice 1/8 inch border. Okay, now you have this pretty open area here, and we can put this in that open area. So many fun things you can do with this die set, coming up with neat ideas. And when I originally did cut from the white that was in there, I thought, oh, I'm saving paper to make this. Well, actually, I did kind of, because what I did is I cut out this piece of white. This piece of white that came out of here was the same size and looked just like this Lost Lagoon. But then then I put this die, think of it this way, pretend this is white, okay? And when I put this on the piece of white that came out and I layered it on there with the stitching on the outside, this piece popped out and that was my white here. So now I can put this piece in here and it's going to open up this way. But we want to put this piece of white. Once again, I cut out this piece of Lost Lagoon fell out, and this fell out, right? Okay, let's get this off of here though. There we go. Remember, this fell out and this fell out. When I cut this piece out, a piece of white just like this fell out, and then I put this on top of the white that came out and came out with this. And this is going to go on my piece of designer paper. Now remember, I'm turning it this way and it's going to be what we call the bad side, but that's okay because we're covering up the stitching that on there. Okay, so let's put a little bit of glue on here. And it's very easy to put this onto the DSP because it fits exactly. It's the same die that cut it out. Get a few of the bigger pieces there. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece and adhere it to here. Like I said, it's very easy to get it on there because it fits exactly on that die. Just make sure you get it on there. There we go. Cover up that whole DSP. They do stretch a little bit. Okay, lay it down there. Okay, and then we're going to close the card here and we're going to pop this in here. Okay, so let's put some Stampin' Seal on here, and that is going to be closed, and we pop that right in that hole because it's going to fit. See how it fits in that hole? There we go. Make sure it's adhered down. That closes over here. Now we want to put a sentiment on, and see the nice contrast there? Now on this card, I used my perennial postage, and then I put a little Lost Lagoon bow here. On this one, on this one, on the inside, I put You've Been on My Mind, and I used our Spotlight on Nature dies. But on this one, I decided to jazz this up a little bit, and I did that. You've used the Stylish Shapes dies. I see a little bit of flecks of paper on there, but I wanted to jazz it up a little bit. So before I cut it out, I stamped it because I was using the stamp on another card. If you're ever wanting to make your images straight, I put a piece of tape on my block and use that as the line. And then when I turn it over, because even when I mount my stamps, many times they're not perfect, but then I know exactly how straight it is. Okay, so that's a little trick. Just you use any kind of tape that you have, masking tape. This just happens to be some of that low tack tape. Put it across, then I use it as my horizon line, and then when I stamp, I'm only looking at that line to keep something straight. Okay, so then what I did is I stamped some of the flowers like around the sentiment, because I did them afterwards, and I mean, it still would have worked, but okay. Now Cindy needs to get her, she knows what's going to happen here. Get my chamois. And also with my great chamois that of course stays stained. One of my friends asked me one time, and I cut them in half, especially at class, because they're easy to handle, cut in half. And I had a real pretty, and she goes, how did you get yours so purple? And I said, well, I bought a new one. So they still work when they are well used. Just rinse them out with, you know, clear water until they run clear underneath your faucet. And so on this one, actually, so now when I put the circle on, I've got some design on that. So I just put the circle on last. So that is a little trick I did there. So we'll go ahead and pop that in here. So do you see how we're getting to use a lot of things on this card? Now the nice thing about this too is this is where you can write your message. So you have the sentiment, you have this, you mean the world to me, you have that pretty thing, you can write your sentiment here, close the card, and now I wanted to show you a new set of dies we have. This is also in the online exclusives. These are the mixed labels dies, wonderful sentiments in those that fit into these dies. And I used this die here out of that. So these are a great addition to our dies. And I like that it has this really unique stitching on it. And we're going to put that right on the front of the card there. So we're just going to put, oh, it looks like my tape just went empty. So I might just throw, well, actually what I could do is just glue this on. So I wanted to put it so that it was a little bit onto this. Okay, so keep an eye out there. And it's just right here, making sure I only put glue on the actual card base, because we want the card to open. And then put that die cut, you are awesome. And see, that has a nice opening there. And then okay. And then I put a little bow there. And you know what is crazy is I had the bow. I don't have it now. Let's just pretend I had this one cut. This is actually not the one I would do, because this is Pool Party and this is Lost Lagoon. But actually I could do this. Let me see. Cut myself a piece of the Lost Lagoon ribbon. This is our Lost Lagoon, what do they call it? Bordered ribbon, because it has a little bit of a border there. And I'm going to say that because I'm doing this online, it is not going to work. So let's just make some goofy looking little bow here. This isn't a real bow. Because I cut it too small. So we just want a little bit of something on the outside of the card. And this may not be the something I want to put on there, but let's just envision it there. I was thinking, no, think of it as having this little bow, but it will take me quite a bit of time right now if I try to tie that bow. I do like to use one of those 10-second bow makers when I make it. And 10-second bow maker, she's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. You could support her. And then I just popped on some iridescent pearls that were sitting right here on my desk a minute ago. Yes, our iridescent basic jewels pearls. So where's the opening? Okay. All right, so I'm just going to pop this out here and grab a few of these little pearls. And I used the larger pearls, and they just had enough of that iridescence to kind of play off the Lost Lagoon. And I think there was one, two, I put one here. Yes. Yeah, it kind of was like I put one there. And then I think I put one little one up here. So you got some glitz on there with the pearls. And then imagine that there's a pretty little bow here. You know, a little bow there. So how cute is that using all those dies? Okay, so you would just put your DSP onto your paper, open up your card, and roll it through your embossing machine, cutting machine. What's going to fall out is a piece of Lost Lagoon, and the piece of DSP. We're going to put the DSP here. Now, when we came to the inside of the card, which was 8 by 5 1/4, and we scored it at 4, and we stamped "You Mean the World to me," so you see that when you open it, we cut the white, we cut this piece of white out of there, and we had this white. We put these flowers on the white, and this popped out with the stitching. And because we did this pretty stitching that's visible here, when you look at the back of this one, because this is the back of this paper, it had stitching, but it wasn't, excuse me, the perfect stitching, but it was okay because I covered it up with this stitching here. Now also this die, I could have literally cut this die out of here and it would have totally cut this image out, and you would have had a blank opening of that, which I'm probably going to do for a card on soon here. But you also have the ability to cut out it separately and have it to put onto something. So I love that effect. This can cut something out. This can cut out this out of a big piece, but it would, if you put it on a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 or something, it would only cut it out. It wouldn't pop out. It would cut into the paper. But yet, if you want this piece to be cut out, you just put this piece, run it through, and then you end up with this piece that fell off. So this is really versatile. I love this. This one was just same pattern of paper, a few little simpler, my idea. And then after I finished it, I came up with this one. And I really like the stamping on that one. Ta-da! Okay, I think this is a great one for you to take a look at. A lot of the times now, the things aren't in the catalog you get, so keep your eye on the online exclusives. I see some of my favorite stamp sets that are current this season in the online exclusives. So the Memorable Blooms bundle, really pretty one. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call at 724-323-2296. You can text me a picture if you make this type of card, even if you have another stamp set that is conducive with their dies to do something like that. I'd love to see it. Love to see other colors, other papers used. I really appreciate those fun texts I get of cards you guys made after you've watched a video. And I appreciate the wonderful comments too. And thanks for stopping by, friends.